Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Highway to SNL. My name is Chris, local musician and part-time screw peddler.
My name is Andy, part-time podcaster, full-time film watcher.
And we are back again to delve deep into the world of Saturday Night Live as two English-British Saturday Night Live fans, looking at some of our favourite cast members and delving a bit into their lives, our favourite sketches, and what they did pre and post SNL. So who are we talking about this week?
One of my personal favourites, original cast member, Gilda Radner, who, interesting life.
Yes.
And I think one of the many comedians whose careers peaked on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And there's several reasons for that, which we will talk about. I grew up watching on video and DVD the best of compilations of the 5 years she was on the show, and I have since, I think I've watched all of season 1 to 4 now, because they did get an American release on DVD. I never got the 5th series done, everything came out, so I've seen a lot of what she done. So
yeah, I'm probably less versed. I've seen the clips that I would have seen from the first 5 series, seen some of her very few films, but I'm a big fan of her live album.
Yes.
Which is probably, I think, her best work.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Saturday Night Live characters on that. So it's almost like a bluer version, or more offensive version of the characters that she, really perfected on the show and taken a bit. So that was on Broadway, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Which she done after she left in 1980.
Yeah.
And I don't know really much apart from the odd film what she done after. I mean, she wasn't well, and we'll mention it now, she passed away of cancer in 1989, so 9 years after she left, so not too long after she left. And she had eating disorder throughout her career, really, so a lot of it I think was put back for that. And of course she met Gene Wilder and married Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
And most of her movies were his films. He's in them, he wrote them. Should we start by just talking a bit? Do you know much about like pre-SNL?
Yeah, I do. Actually a bit. So, she was, fun fact number one. She was the first person actually hired for Not the Primetime Players, and that's because she had a amazing history with her characters prior to that point. So she studied drama at University of Michigan, left before she graduated, moved to Toronto, and joined the cast of a small production of Godspell, which was, look back, if you'd have been alive in 1973 or whenever it was when this cast of Godspell was. So it was her. I've got the notes here. Look, professional as always. Her, Eugene Levy, Martin Short, Holly Schaefer, and it was it's the stars that came out of this.
Yeah.
And they all then left to do Second City in Toronto. Same as Dan Aykroyd was there as well. And there's this wonderful story. Apparently, her audition for that is, I think this will come back to a point we'll make quite a lot about how she was certainly on stage, or when she was performing, had so much energy and so much life and so much warmth about her. So her audition apparently was a very, very energetic performance of Zippity Doo-Dah, where she danced around the stage with pigtails on.
Yeah.
And immediately Eugene Levy and Martin Short were immediately like, she is in this play.
Yeah.
And then from her time working in Second City, she then got spotted by somebody we may have heard about, some Belushi guy. It might have been quite important. And she was hired along with, who else was it? Most of the original Primetime Players, pretty much, to perform on the National Lampoon's Radio Hour.
Yeah, it's 1974.
1974.
Yeah.
And it was on there where she started to do her characters, and then she started to do shows of her characters, and that's where she was spotted by Lorne Michaels.
Yeah.
And as they say, it's history.
Yeah, and I think we might have mentioned this on another podcast, but if you believe the rumours about John Belushi's personality, and say rumours, or what people say, I don't know if rumours, if that's the right word, she was the only female cast member or comedian that he liked.
Yeah, and he convinced Lorne wasn't sure about having him as part of the Not for Primetime Players, simply because of his persona and the way he was.
Yeah.
And she convinced him to hire him.
Yeah, they were good friends. And there's a book actually of photos called Belushi, and those from that era, and there's some really nice pictures of those two together. If you track it down, it's really cool. Like I actually on the Facebook page, I'll take a few photos of it and put them on.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. And so in 1975, it was when she joined SNL, when it started, and I think she was really the first female star to break through. Yeah,
I think what really helped is she had spent her time perfecting these characters.
Yeah.
And so she came in ready-made to sketch playing, because she had these characters immediately that could fit in, and they could fit into Update, they could fit into their own sketches, they could... She certainly, I think she hit the ground faster than probably anybody else.
Yeah, and the characters were, because she had these characters, it must have made it easier for the writers, because they could write around these characters that she performed. Now, should we, because normally we do 3 sketches each, should we try that and then talk about the characters? If they're in any of these ones, we can talk about them as we do it.
Yeah.
Then if they're not, we can talk about the other characters after.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you want to go first? You go first.
Okay.
Last time.
Okay. Well, the sketch, and I'm pretty sure this character was used more than once. I don't even know the name of the sketch. I haven't looked up, but I watched it last night. It's where she plays Judy Miller just in her bedroom, like acting out her own TV show. It's basically a big bed, so she's made to look like a little girl, and it pretty much like you said about that audition. It's just her. You hear Jane Curtin as her mum shout, like, "Be quiet," and it's just an exaggerated version of how kids behave, and the energy is insane. It's just her monologuing, but what I love about it is she captures the innocence and daftness of a young child, and it is quite accurate to how kids behave. But she gives it a all, no help from anyone. Obviously, there's no one to bounce off, and carries like a 5-minute sketch. And at one point, even runs smack into a door, and you can tell she really done it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my first.
I think that you're running into the door. I know the sketch very well, and running into the door, there was a lot of comparisons. In fact, she even did impersonations of her. There's a lot of comparison between her and Lucille Ball, and the way their physical comedy they would put their bodies on the line and literally go to the most extremes to get that laugh from their body comedy. Yeah.
Have you seen? Obviously, she's done the impression of Lucille Ball. Have you seen the sketch where she's in a bomb factory putting cream on? That is brilliant.
I have notes on that. It wasn't one of my sketches, but I had notes on it. Just because, the nuclear warhead sketch.
Yeah.
And and it is just like watching Lucille Ball.
Yeah.
It's such a spot on impersonation. You could tell that obviously she had really influenced her and her style of comedy.
Okay.
So I've not gone for any of the character sketches necessarily. So there's one. It's very short. Anyone who's listened to this podcast up to now will kind of know what sketches I keep picking. So this one is it's a 2-header with her and Candice Bergen, who I'm guessing was the host of that week.
Yeah, this was my third choice.
Oh, it's your third choice.
It's just the stupid people.
The stupid people. Yeah. So it's amazing for 2 reasons. The main reason is amazing because it's really, really funny. And you've just got her playing this stupid person, and she says, I'm so thirsty I could drink a horse. And then she pours milk into her handbag and says she's still thirsty. And then it builds up to the point, and then it goes to a face to camera where I've got the quote written down here. It's every American's God-given right to extreme stupidity. And I just think that's such a biting and clever satire of America, but I felt that might have gone unnoticed by certain people in America.
Yeah.
Because of her sweet and innocent way that she portrayed it.
Yeah.
and how she is calling American stupid.
Yes. Yeah.
The second reason why it's hilarious is because Candice Bergen calls her character her name.
Yeah.
And then she gets confused, and then she goes, "Whatever your name is," and Candice Bergen loses it completely.
Yeah.
Cannot regain composure for the rest of it. But Gilda Radner is so professional and does not break.
Yeah.
Does not even react, just carries on. You can see a little.
She has a little
smirk.
dig at her though, doesn't she?
Yeah, she has a little dig.
And points at her for one of the lines.
Yeah.
So yeah, which makes her laugh even more.
Yeah.
Because she just carries straight on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think again, my issues, and those who have listened before, issues with certain SNL cast members of the future whose entire shtick is them corpsing. To see someone actually not and really hold it together.
Yeah.
It makes that sketch even better than it probably would have been if that hadn't happened.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so I'll do not that sketch. I'll do this shows her physical comedy and dance skills. I don't know if you know this one. It starts as a romantic two people meeting together, her and Steve Martin, and they just basically dance around the whole set of SNL. Goes in and out of other stages, and some of the dancing is good, but most of it is just silly, isn't it? It's very physical, and it's different. It's more melancholy than other sketches. It's still funny, but not laugh out loud funny. It's just like silent comedy. But what I love about it is you can see the chemistry between her and Steve Martin, and they've done a lot of sketches together because he guested a lot, and it really works. And I like the way it goes from really serious to really stupid, then ends really serious again. And I like sketches like that because sometimes they give you breath a break when watching either constant comedy mixed with some music. It's that bit of a relax, and it is really good, and it just stands out. I'm not saying it's one of the best sketches of all time, but it's just so well done.
Yeah, I think it's really, unfortunately, folks listening, this is gonna dip into some dark and somber moments, unfortunately, because of the nature of who we're talking about. So that actually was played the week that she passed. He was actually hosting again, and as a tribute, they played that sketch.
Okay, yeah.
And then he had this really heartfelt out after me. He said, "I remember that clip makes me remember how amazing she was, and how young I looked." Yeah. And then Gilda, we miss you, and then it cut to black.
Yeah.
And I think that really did sum her up. And I've got one that's related to that, which is one of mine, which is less funny, but I think just as melancholy and poignant in the same way. And that's the laundromat sketch. Yeah. With her and John Belushi.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Which it's silent. It's about 3 minutes long. Yeah. Not a lot happens. It's just two people, and they're slowly flirting with each other, sharing a washing machine and a laundromat.
Yeah.
But it shows both of their amazing, not only comedy talents, but acting chops as well. Because they don't say anything, and it's all done with their facial expressions, the way they look at each other, the way their body language is, and you just see this romance build up between the two of them just over their washing. And there's a couple of funny moments where they've got their underwear and stuff like that. But watching that, I think it's very, very, I don't know, it's just a beautiful little piece of television. It's it's not the funniest, but I think it's really showed where SNL can go. And I think maybe as moments like that probably got lost as time went on with SNL. You had less and less of that as we moved into the 80s and 90s. Yeah. And again, obviously a very poignant sketch looking back. There's two people who are no longer with us.
Yes,
as
true.
well.
Yeah, and two of the first to go.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. I can do a third.
Go for it. I
just thought of it. Candy Slice. The basically Patti Smith impersonation.
Yeah.
And the sketch starts with her being taken to the stage really drunk, and then given this over the top bombastic performance. Shows she can sing. Obviously doing an impression, but can sing. It reminds me of John Belushi's Joe Cocker.
Yeah.
But this is as wild, and the sketch around it really works as well. And she got in trouble because she says funked up.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say that in a few of them she does slip up and say the F word. Now, I listened quite carefully last night when I rewatched this, but I had about 6 pints. So, hence my notes. Look at that. Can you read that?
Oh, no, I can't.
Yeah, exactly. Look at that. So it's an interesting one on the live, because that's on the live CD.
It is, yeah.
I think she swears on that.
She does say fuck.
Yeah. So yeah, but I think it's great, and shows along with the Sia Bull one that she could do impressions as well.
Yeah. And yeah, my final one is, and again, no surprise to anybody that it's going to be a fake advert, because I do love my fake SNL adverts, and this is the Pink Box. So this is a advert for a woman's product that makes women feel empowered, but you don't know what's in the box.
Yeah.
And her friend asks her, "Oh, can you eat it? Maybe. Do you put it inside of you, or outside of you? Both." And then it's just this, and it's such a clever little comment on the commercialism around women's products and how women are forced to buy things because they feel like they need to because of this and that, and certainly in American culture. And yeah, I think, and the line is, the woman asked for the pink box. It's so good you don't know what's inside it, or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's 2 minutes long, but it just gets more and more. It's like, what is in this pink box? It's like, it just makes me feel empowered and powerful.
Yeah. She's done a lot of good ads thinking about it. There's one, I can't remember the name of it, but for basically a perfume for one night stand. Remember that?
Yeah.
Hey You was one as well, and Jewish Jeans.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that stand out, but she did do lots of good ones. That's the sketches. That's it. We've done 3 each.
No, we've done 3 each, yeah.
We're ploughing through this episode.
We are ploughing through. So I suppose we need to talk about
characters.
Yeah.
We've done Judy Miller. We've mentioned that. I want to talk about Lisa Lupner, which she done with Bill Murray.
The geeks.
Which 2 friends in high school clearly fancy each other. Obviously, to me, the Revenge of the Nerds films had seen these sketches, and basically it's basically that, but in different situations. There's melancholy with it because I keep using that word today.
Yeah.
What does it mean? Because Lisa's lost her father, so that brings in some sort of more emotional aspects to it. Once again, shows that she can play young really well. Bounces off Bill Murray very well. I think, pretty sure those 2 really got on. Yeah. A lot of people.
They were romantically entangled at some point.
At some point, yeah.
She worked her way through. No, that sounds horrible. She worked her way through. That's not because never. But she did date Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and John Belushi at some point.
Yeah, and she married G. Smith from the band.
The band, yeah.
Yeah. But also, we mentioned this before with people when we talk about Dan Aykroyd. It was that time where they were. A lot of them were in open relationships. They did go from person to person. It was a different time, different era, and good on them, I say.
Yeah, exactly.
Then AIDS happened. Anyway. So. Wow!
Mike, okay, note this, listeners. Note this. This was the point when Andy did the first AIDS joke. Mark it.
Sorry. It did, though.
It did.
So, yeah. So, they what I like about... But that is, they did. Like we mentioned, Aykroyd dated Lorne Michaels' wife.
Yeah.
But they all seem to still get on.
Yeah.
There's obviously the only fights that I know of were like people not liking Chevy Chase.
Well, yeah.
Wrongly not liking Chevy Chase. So what was you going before I got all offensive?
The geeks.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. So they've done a lot of sketches, obviously from the second year, because when Bill Murray came in, and I think if she'd have still been with us, we might have got a film of those characters, like with Coneheads.
Yeah.
If Bill Murray would do it, if they've got Wes Anderson in or something to direct.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's those characters.
Have you seen the one with the high school prom? Where they introduced Jane Curtin as the mum, and the guy who, I'm sorry I can't remember his name, but he's in the Police Academy films as the nerd in the Police Academy films, whose wife forces him to go into the...
Oh yes, he's in, interestingly enough, he's in Friday the 13th Part 3, I believe. Yeah.
But he's playing Bill Murray's dad, and they're both as geeky. Both of the mum and dad are as geeky as the 2 kids.
Yeah, that's great.
And it has the great line, I thought, I hope you don't mind. What did Mr. Lubner die of? And he said, it was very tragic. He was born without a spine.
Yes. So it was going to happen eventually.
What other characters do we have? We have, again, impression, but beyond impression, I think, is Barbara Wawa.
Yes.
So impression of Barbara Walters, who was a newscaster and later a chat show host. I don't, forgive me, American listeners, if you're listening, we don't know who Barbara Walters is. She's mentioned in songs.
Yeah,
We don't really know who she is, but
yeah.
she had a lisp, I'm guessing.
Yes, and with that character, she worked several times, was it, with Khan,
Madeline Kahn, who played Marlene Dietrich.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good character, recurring, and it's a sign of a good character, I think, when it is mocking someone, but it's still funny if you don't know who that person is.
Yeah.
So we saw it on a different level.
Yeah, because we didn't really know. But apparently Barbara Walters originally was a bit upset because I think an important thing to note about Gilda Radner is she was the first cast member that really went on there and did not only pure character-based stuff, but also did celebrity impressions in that over-the-top way that we're now used to American like SNL impressions, where it's kind of like picking up on all their little traits and exemplifying them rather than doing a perfect impression of them.
Yeah.
I think she was the first cast member to really do that.
Yeah. Exaggerated impression, which you see so much now. And, I think I've mentioned it before, like a Harry Hill impression.
So only Barbara Walters was not happy when she found out somebody was doing an impression of her, especially when apparently she says she pronounced her R's right. But she did actually end up really, really enjoying it, and apparently complimented her once when they were at a dinner somewhere.
Okay, yeah. So I hope she threw the impression straight back at her.
She apparently did, yes.
Good, that's all right too. Emily the Teller, the older lady, I'm pretty sure was only on Update, wasn't it?
She only did updates.
And she's a correspondent on that. The joke, basically, sweet old lady, deaf. She couldn't understand why people were complaining about all the violins on television.
Yeah.
So it would be daft humour like that, something silly. It always worked. And bounce off usually Jane Curtin, who'd just be annoyed with her.
Mm-hmm.
Annoyed with her for not doing her job properly, not paying attention, not researching, and obviously not listening. Or if she could listen, who knows? Probably a character you wouldn't do now. But as you've already heard from me, I do go for that sort of humour accidentally while recording podcasts sometimes, but still funny. I think you wouldn't do it now, but no one would really mind if you done this sort of humour now. I don't.
No, I don't. I mean, it was apparently based on her grandmother, who was very close to her family growing up. And again, it was one of the first characters, also, I believe, that had a catchphrase.
Yeah, which was "Never mind."
Never mind. Well, it was but that's different.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Never mind.
And if it hadn't been for that, we wouldn't have had Church Lady.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have had Waterboy. There's so many other characters that were then based.
I went for a stage, I don't know, probably 10, 15 years ago on Facebook, of whenever someone would annoy me, there was two things I put. The one was a picture of David Schwimmer pointing backwards with "get a load of that," then a rude word, and the other was just her face with grinning with "never mind," which was cool. And another catchphrase she had, actually, which was the name of her autobiography, which I have read, but very long time ago, probably 20 years ago I read that, and really sad because it ends with her getting over cancer. Also, we all thought, and then she did die shortly after. I don't know if it might have even been released after she died, but it ends on a high note, from what I remember. But Rosanna Dana was always something, is what was the catchphrase. And this was a sort of speak for someone as well, wasn't it?
That I don't know.
I think it was an exaggerated of a newsreader. Probably the name's probably Rosanna Dana or something like that. I meant to research it, but I was up late last night doing the stuff I did do, rewatching sketches, and then I forgot that this morning I had another podcast to record for another thing. So, but a great character, angry character. I like that. Distinctive hair.
Yeah.
And another one that they could have probably done a movie out of, but it might have gone a bit It's Pat.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't talk about It's Pat.
No, we will do though, because neither of us have seen it all, have we? So
no.
We're going to watch it and review it at the end of an episode, I think. Is the way
Yeah, we're gonna put it on as a little bonus treat at the end of an episode.
Yeah, that will get the listeners in if we tag that we've watched that.
So, should we kind of now move on to a little bit of what happened, her professional career after?
Yeah,
SNL.
Should we start with the films?
Yeah.
Yeah, because in 1980 she was this TV movie, but she was in the Ruttles, but that was more of a cameo, wasn't it?
Yeah, she's brilliant in the Ruttles.
Yeah, so very briefly in it, from my memory.
Very briefly, but she is really brilliant.
One thing I keep meaning to double check. I don't know if right. Okay, so she married Gene Wilder in 84.
Mm-hmm.
But I've read someone, if you Google it, there's no picture, but apparently she's in Blazing Saddles very briefly, as in a church scene as one of the townspeople. Now, I've Googled it, and it says this comes up, but you'd think there'd be a picture of it.
Yeah, so I don't know. Everything I'm aware of, that she didn't meet him until they did Hanky Panky.
Yes, but she might not have met him on
True,
the set.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I thought they met him while working on a play.
Maybe I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, I mean, because I think they were already married when they done, or together when they done Hanky Panky. I might be wrong, but so if anyone knows it, I'm gonna watch Blazing Saddles again soon, because I haven't for a while, and I have read that she is in it very briefly and not credited because doesn't talk. Or her first film was a Jack Nicholson film where she said one line, which The Last Detail, I believe it's called. So, but yeah, with her films, should we start? Yeah, we've mentioned the Ruttles, and in 1982 she made a movie written and directed by Buck Henry called The First Family. I'd never heard of till I was researching this show. It's the research I do, and I tracked it down. It's quite hard to get hold of, and I bought it on a streaming service, copy, so I could rewatch it if need be. And Bob Newhart plays the president, and she Madeline Kahn plays the first lady, and Gilda Radner, who's only 7 years younger than Madeline Kahn, plays the daughter. And she is good in it, but it's a really one-dimensional character. Now, the movie, I'll just quickly summarise, because I assume you hadn't heard of it.
I had not heard of it.
It's about the first family, a not very popular president, and they have to basically do a treaty with a foreign country. And there's what let the film down is there's a lot of racial humour in it. Obviously 45 years old, so it's an 18 certificate for sexual stuff. Gilda Radner's character, the one joke she really is given, and she's good at it, is she's the president's daughter who is a virgin at 27 or 28 and basically wants to sleep with anyone. And the film opens with her in bed with someone, and on the TV there's the news of so you get to know the president, and then these people come in and get her and take her home. But that's the thing, she's good at this, but if I had Gilda Radner in a film, I'd give her more to do.
Yeah.
And the film's whole problem is there's a lot of, like, Fred Willard's in it and not given anything to do. And the guy who's the mayor, not the mayor, the basic evil guy from Blazing Saddles, who's in a lot of... He's in it and not given too much to do. But there's one really good scene in the White House where there's almost like plot going on, sort of two people talking, and in the background you see her climb down with her bed sheets and then chase the gardener outside, and that bit made me laugh. But overall, like with a lot of her film work, she's underused, and I spent £7 on that. But never mind. That was 1980, and then basically it's the films with Gene Wilder. So I don't know the order, but probably Hanky Panky was
Hanky Panky was first.
Then Woman in Red.
And then Haunted Honeymoon.
Yeah. So Hanky Panky, I haven't seen this one for a long time.
Neither have I. I remember because all three of those films, well, maybe not Woman in Red, but the other two, Hanky Panky and Haunted Honeymoon, they touched that little thing in my head, and you'll know because I've spoken about this on other podcasts we've done. It's how I quite like modern films, or not modern, they were the 80s, but films which are very good tributes and pastiches to the golden age of cinema, and both of those very much are. they're not as good as Clue, but I've always loved that.
Yeah.
I think both of them. Pretty in Pink. Sorry, Hanky Panky is a troubled film. I've done a bit of research on it. Obviously, Sidney Poitier. It was originally supposed to be Gene Wilder and It Will Come to Me, who Gene Wilder made other films with.
What, an actor?
The actor.
Oh, Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor.
Okay.
But he couldn't do it. So they rewrote it as a female, his character, and then that was Gilda Radner.
Did not know that.
But yeah, it was not well received.
Yeah.
I don't remember much of it other than I just remember it being enjoyable and a kind of genre that I liked. But
it was one that I tracked down a DVD of it many years ago, and I really wanted to see it. And all I remember is it was all right. I don't think I ever went back to it. Whereas if we move on to Woman in Red, then this was a massive film. She's not got a very big role in it, but she's funny in it.
Yeah.
She's got that silly. Is it an X or something? Or she comes in and out of the film. I don't know if she's an ex of Gene Wilder in it. Or
I think that's
and she's not on the cover or anything, but she's there, and the little she is in stands out. And this is another one I've not seen for a very long time.
Yeah, I remember very little of it.
Yeah, but that was one you used to see the video of everywhere. It was on TV a lot. I remember wanting to see that one when I was really young because of Gene Wilder and Willy Wonka, and my parents not letting me. Seen it since though, haven't I? And Haunted Honeymoon is the one I've seen the most.
Yep. Again, it's been a while, but
yeah, they play husband and wife. Radio show actors.
Yep.
And they go on honeymoon.
So they can scare the nerves out of him.
Yes, that's it, yeah.
Which is wonderful ironic because as she herself suffered quite severely from anxiety and nerves herself, and then her husband writes a film about him having the nerves tried to scare out of him by his uncle. But
write about what you know.
Yeah.
That's why Katy Perry is going to write about space travel. Writing the new Star Trek film. So yeah, but yeah, it's a good film. That's available on Blu-ray. If you that and Women in Red are available. If you want to track them down, I'd recommend all of them really, I suppose, but mainly Haunted Honeymoon's one.
Haunted Honeymoon. It's a troubled film. I mean, it's I don't know what went wrong. I mean, it's Gene Wilder's last attempt at directing. Yeah. Never tried to direct a film after that.
Yeah, it's one that it bombed, isn't it? But people
quite.
It. Yeah,
horribly. Dom DeLuise was given a Razzie for worst supporting actor. I remember that's a bit unfair. Yeah, he's in drag, but he's just playing a character in drag.
Yeah, it's one of those that was kind of shit on at the time, but it was on TV a lot, and we all grew up liking it. And I watched it a couple of years ago when it got re-released on the Blu-ray, and I enjoyed it. So. Give it a go, and it's probably the movie that she's in the most of.
Apart from there's a bit where she just disappears, and they don't mention her for some reason, and then suddenly she's back.
Yeah, forget about
that.
Yeah,
it's got quite a good background cast of English actors as well because it was filmed in England.
Yes.
So you'll see people like Peter Vaughan is in it, and very young.
Now I confuse it in my head with High Spirits.
Yeah.
Because I was about to say is like Jonathan Pryce in it and stuff, but that's High Spirit.
No, Jonathan Pryce is also in it.
Is he? Okay.
A very young Jonathan Pryce, isn't it?
Okay.
The
price is wrong.
Yeah.
So track them down. But the comedy album you mentioned before, which was I think it was released in '85, but it was recorded in 1980. There was a video of it as well. You could buy a video in America and. That might be on a stream. I haven't looked. That might be on a streaming thing, and I think it's great. It's one of my favourite comedy albums. It's a live one, obviously not a sketch one. And I think I prefer comedy albums like that. Yeah. It's like Sanders' comedy album, Adam Sanders ones, and the Norm Macdonald one. The sketches are hit and miss, and when they're miss and long, it's like skip. Whereas a stand-up or like this is not a stand-up, but it's sketchy but live. It flows well. Yeah, it helps having the laughter track as well, I think. It's not a laughter track,
but it had the genuine laughter kind of put through. And it's a really good mix of some stuff which is very much bluer than she would have got away with, and kind of bluer than you would expect of her when you think of her.
Icky, bicky, teeny, weeny. Anyway.
But then also some quite, I don't know, sweet moments. Like there's the song which is she wrote about Gene Wilder, or dedicates to Gene Wilder at least. Kiss Me With Your Mouth Closed.
That's it, yeah.
Which was the name of Gene Wilder's autobiography.
Yes. And there's the is it Lisa Lupner singing Memories?
Yes.
Which is nice and funny.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, if you haven't got that album, what are you thinking at? Get it. You can listen to it.
It's on Spotify.
Yeah, it's on Spotify. Yeah. Well, years ago, a friend of mine when I was in probably high school went to America on holiday, and I asked him to get it for me, and he did. So I got that brought over from a friend, which is nice of him. So really recommend that album. And one thing I want to talk about, and I can't, how old am I now? 43. So probably nearly 30 years I've been trying to track down the TV movie called Gilda about her. Have you seen this?
I have not seen it. I've seen there's a trailer on YouTube for it, I think.
Okay, because I might have seen that, but I really want to see it. You got mixed reviews. It's Jamie Gertz from The Lost Boys plays her, and I can see that. Can see that working, but I just can't get hold of it. I've looked legally and illegally to find it, and I can't. If anyone's seen it, tell us what it's like.
Yeah,
I want a 90-minute description of it, please. But that'd be cool. And I think as well, I know you've not seen it yet. In Saturday Night, what came out, the actress, or I've forgotten who it is, who plays her, captures her brilliantly as well. And I think one day there might be a proper movie about her.
Yeah,
I could see that happening.
I think, I mean, the kind of underline, I think we have to say is it's sad we never got to see any more of her, or much more of her. I think because eventually, I think that's what nobody probably ever got. It's just my opinion, but no one got that they were trying to hire her to play characters that she hadn't created in films that she hadn't written. And being her best work after SNL was her album, which she recorded and wrote herself.
Yeah.
If she'd have just been given a chance to write a character for a film and then fleshed it out herself, I think maybe she would have been as big as Aykroyd and Belushi and...
she could have written a film. Was it Bonnie and Ted Turner who done like the Coneheads films and Wayne's World?
Yeah.
But also a lot of it, which we haven't mentioned, is I think from what I remember reading, she actually did just want to settle down. You know, she met someone, she fell in love with him, and just wanted to have the family. But he carried on working, so I think if she'd have not gotten ill, eventually she'd have come out of semi-retirement and done something, even if it was behind the scenes writing. But I always think it's nice that the thing she did do was in his movie, so it's obviously they wanted to spend time together, which is really sweet. You know, there's that, and if you heard interviews with him after she died, it's emotional, and it's I don't think he was ever the same after she died either.
No, I think there's this whole thing, especially in our modern day of media, and how we put celebrities on a pedestal and they talk about Hollywood love stories and stuff, but I don't think there has ever been a Hollywood love story as beautiful and as true as Gilda and Gene Wilder. I think they fell in love, they were besotted with each other.
I will mention, out of context, I'm in a Facebook group where there's a lot of people probably are, where we all pretend to be boomers, and every day there's a tribute to we've just lost Gene Wilder. It's like a running joke.
He would like that. He would want that. He would want that.
It's funny. It's not being really disrespectful to him. He's just getting at people's reaction, isn't it? I've read his biography as well, which is good. My memory, I tell you, is terrible. It's like I can't remember much of her book, and I've read it. I'd done a podcast earlier talking about a film I'd watched last night, before I'd done the research for this, or the day before. And then I went to look on Letterboxd to review it today, and I'd watched it 2 years ago, and I remembered nothing. And 2 years ago wasn't even lockdown, so I wasn't hammered 24/7. So I think I got married in lockdown. I don't know.
How did you forget, Andy? It was the most beautiful day of our lives.
Oh yeah, no, I remember. It was you. So anything else you want to add? This is probably a shorter episode.
It is.
But it's weird because she kind of done less, but had as much, if not more, impact than a lot of other people. And it generally, when I think of funniest people ever, I was going to say funniest women ever, but funniest people ever, she's up there. I said that about Kate McKinnon as well. They're two of my favourites. We should probably tackle someone soon who I'm not such a big fan of, because it's just me going, "Oh, brilliant!" But they were, she really stood out. I mean, I still think that original cast is possibly the best they've ever had. And her and Jane Curtin, two completely different actresses. Who I love the fact that she'd play the daughter to people her own age or slightly older.
Yeah.
And with the Emily character, who was an old lady, they didn't dye her hair, put a wig on her or anything.
No.
It was just
she just turned into an old woman.
Yeah.
She put glasses on. I think that's the only thing. She's put glasses on and hunched over and squinted a bit, and then
And one thing I haven't mentioned is sometimes if a gag didn't hit, she could just pull a face and then you laugh. And that's talent.
Yeah.
And I've also, if I mentioned, there's a book, I've got it, I never finished it, written by an old friend of hers, which I thought would be really interesting, but he mainly talks about himself. So it's like, there's an Andy Kaufman one like that. His manager wrote one, and it's My Times with Andy Kaufman. He's just talking about himself. I don't care. Write your own autobiography. I'm going to write a book called The Adventures of Me and Chris Asker, where hours on end I talk about watching horror films, and then we recorded a podcast. I'm waffling, sorry.
Yeah, no. I think she should be remembered for all time as, I think she wrote more of the blueprint of what SNL is than probably any other original cast member. I'm going to go out and say that. I think the way we see, because the original series is 5 series, it's very different to the SNL we saw.
Especially the first of those.
They're very, very different. But I think the parts that are still the same from those first few seasons to SNL now, the majority of them have come, I believe, from Gilda Radner.
Yeah. And she's one of those people who paved the way for women in comedy as well.
Yeah.
All 3 of them were on that original cast, but she was the one who, Curtin and Lorraine Newman, brilliant. Lorraine Newman especially at voices and doing impressions, and Jane Curtin as the straight woman. But there weren't really many sketches around them.
No.
They were the supporting characters to people to bounce off, whereas Gilda Radner, there were sketches around her characters, and as well as being a scene stealer and other things, you'd get a sketch about her, and that's, I think she was the first female on there to do that.
Yeah.
Gilda, very much missed.
Very, very much missed. Sometimes the brightest fires burn the quickest, unfortunately.
So we don't know who we're doing next episode. I'm going to push for Jimmy Fallon just to annoy you. Because
sorry.
We should just do a podcast that's about him, but not get a sentence out and just laugh, right?
There we go, my Jimmy Fallon impression.
And a darn good one. So we'll have a think, and we'll have another episode up in a month or so. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Sorry we haven't done too much on it at the moment. We're very busy people. Chris is a musician. He's organising a festival at the moment, as well as working full time. And I work a bit and watch films all day.
A very poignant AC festival. I'm going to plug it quickly.
Yeah, do it.
It is called Askenbury. It's based in our hometown of Ipswich. 3 days live music. Very poignant in this podcast, particularly because every penny we raise and all the money raised goes to Macmillan Cancer Support. I think a charity very much fitting with what we've discussed in this podcast. So check all of that stuff out on the socials as well. Askenbury Festival on Instagram and Facebook. That's my final little push.
We can link that through the page as well.
We'll link it through the page.
And I don't do self promotions, but for charity, it's well worth doing. Saying that, what venues are you at?
It is at the Music Room in Ipswich.
Cool.
This pub called the Brewers Arms. Have you heard of that?
No. It's good though.
I've heard it's good. Yeah.
And where else?
And the Swan and Hedgehog.
Swan and Hedgehog, yes. Formerly the Swan.
Now
the Swan Hedgehog. three really cool places. Ipswich has got a lot going for it. Anyway, we stopped talking about Ipswich because we're talking about an American TV show. But yeah, we'll put news out on what the next episode will be very soon. Thank you very much for listening. Yeah. And if I didn't say, Instagram, Facebook, you can listen. You're listening on one at the moment, hopefully. But we're on YouTube. Sorry, there's no video of us. It's just a picture. But, you know, faces for podcasts, don't we? YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify.
Yes, indeed.
Listen on all of them at once. Surround sound.
We said that last time, didn't we? Yeah. You really make this huge stereophonic noise with different Bluetooth speakers. It'd be amazing.
Yeah. And if you haven't got any of those, send me a blank cassette on a self-addressed envelope to It's Never Gonna Happen, PO Box, and I'll send you a cassette.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll do that for you.
Yeah.
Just for you.
Yes.
Yeah, anyway, until next time, people.
Never mind.